It really pains me because they won't let us worship, and this is our Sabbath day.
Let's now talk church matters, and the leadership of the Seventh Day Adventist Church in Nairobi now wants the government to reverse its decision of closing down Maxwell SDA Church.
I want you to please walk across here to St. George's Secondary School. The place is set up. Worship is already going on there.
Our constitution is under trial because we believe that we have freedom of association and worship. It's religious liberty at test.
Citizen TV has learned that the wrangles in the church revolved around leadership and money, with a section of church members from some regions opting to divert their tithes and offerings to their home churches. Makori Ongeshi reports.
That Nairobi Central Seventh Day Adventist Church has witnessed chaos and disruptions in worship in the recent weeks is in no doubt. The government's decision to close down the church this last Saturday now receiving opposition from the executive office of the church.
There was neither a court order or a legal notice barring members from worshipping at the designated venue. The church takes exception to this unlawful act by state agencies who ordinarily are supposed to be the stewards and custodians of the law.
There's no single person who has powers to excommunicate members. There are a set of procedures which have not been followed.
Leaders are arguing that there is no leadership power and that the purported dispute only involves members of the Nairobi Cosmopolitan Conference Limited, members who previously were part of the congregation and leadership of the church and whose names were expunged from the church register.
In our church manual, page 46 and 47, it is here. It allows someone to come back through baptism. There is no any other way. He has to go through the process and be taught again if he was not taught properly.
Citizen TV has established that an alleged mismanagement of 25 million shillings belonging to the church has been at the center of the controversy. The money was allegedly swindled by a section of church leaders and recovered from the offerings. Tribal fights have also rocked the church, with details now emerging that for some time a section of members from some regions in the country considered to have majority in membership of the church have quietly been either holding their tithes or sending their tithes and offerings to their home churches. It is this division in offerings that sources say has led to the deficit experienced in this year's camp meeting offering. The question of how names were expunged from the church register has also been raised, with details indicating that the right procedures outlined in the church manual may not have been followed. Apparently, the church board, which is the highest decision-making organ of the church and which votes for removal of a church member, did not agree. In the SDA church calendar, such time is set aside for spiritual convention. The annual gathering, identified as camp meeting, is one of the most far-sighted and important programs in the denominational pattern. For more than 4,000 members and guests of the church, that period, which was to begin this last Sunday, is now in limbo.
The entire membership is willing and ready to sit down and dialogue. But there are people who are not willing to give that dialogue chance.
Well, despite a directive from the county commissioner to have the warring parties resolve their issues, that has not been the case. Competing interests at the SDA church continue to play out in the open. A group of leaders that claims to represent a faction that broke away from the church late last year has expressed dismay over a move to reopen the Nairobi Central branch.
We find this development strange, unbelievable, and suspicious. The issues which led the government to close the church have not been resolved.
The group wonders how the decision to reopen the church was arrived at, when indeed there were still issues that were yet to be resolved.
Those of us who are aggrieved by this development wish to emphatically say this matter is far from over. Nobody should have any illusions that he or they would disenfranchise a large number of membership up to the tune of 65% and continue running the church with unbelievable dictatorship and impunity and expect peace.
Evidently displeased by the move, the leaders want some of the issues said to be ailing the church, including tribalism and corruption, addressed as matters of priority. While some of the church leaders hope the standoff will come to an end to enable the church continue with its normal functions.